Can man know the future? The question of whether humans can know the future has haunted philosophers, scientists, mystics, and ordinary people alike for centuries. It is a tantalizing thought, to see beyond the present moment, to know what will come before it happens. Imagine if we could glimpse the twists and turns that life has in store for us. Would we embrace this knowledge, or would it paralyze us with the weight of certainty? Is the future an open book, waiting for the right reader? Or is it a hidden enigma beyond our comprehension? As we explore this timeless question, we dive into the realms of philosophy, science, and spirituality, seeking not just a clear answer, but the deeper implications that arise from the search for foresight. The answer, as always, lies not simply in yes or no, but in the gray spaces where human thought dwells, the desire to know. Why are we obsessed with the future? To understand the question, we must first understand why humanity has always been obsessed with the future. In some sense, this desire is born from the fear of the unknown. We are creatures of habit, comforted by predictability and unsettled by uncertainty. The future represents the ultimate uncertainty, the vast expanse of time that lies ahead, unshaped by our actions yet looming with all its potential and peril. From ancient times, people have sought ways to pierce the veil of the future. Oracles, shamans, and prophets claimed to have visions of what was to come, and people flocked to them for guidance. The Delphic oracle in ancient Greece was consulted by kings and commoners alike, hoping for a glimpse into their fate. In more recent centuries, we've seen the rise of astrology, tarot readings, and other esoteric practices aimed at divining the future. The very fact that these traditions have persisted across cultures and eras speaks to something fundamental in human nature: the deep-seated desire to control, or at least predict, what lies ahead. But why this obsession? Perhaps because the future represents not just uncertainty, but possibility. It is the space in which all our hopes, fears, dreams, and anxieties are projected. The unknown future holds both promise and threat, and in seeking to know it, we are also seeking control over what happens to us, over the course of our lives, and ultimately over our destiny. Philosophy and the nature of time. Is the future fixed? Before we can ask whether humans can know the future, we must ask a more fundamental question: is the future? If the future is set, like the past, then perhaps there is something to know, some blueprint of events that we could, theoretically, access. But if the future is open, constantly shaped by our choices and actions, then the idea of knowing the future becomes far more complicated. Philosophers have debated the nature of time for centuries, and their answers vary widely. The ancient Greek philosopher Parmenides argued that time is an illusion, and that the past, present, and future are all part of a single, unchanging reality. In this view, the future already exists. It is simply waiting to unfold. If this is true, then perhaps it is possible to know the future in the same way that we know the past through discovery, not creation. On the other hand, thinkers like Heraclitus viewed the world as a place of constant flux and change. "You cannot step into the same river twice," he famously declared, meaning that everything is in a state of continual transformation. From this perspective, the future does not yet exist. It is shaped by our actions in the present. Each moment creates the next, and thus the future is an open field of possibilities, not a preordained path. The tension between these two views, whether the future is fixed or open, has profound implications for whether we can ever truly know what is to come. If the future is fixed, then it might be possible, however difficult, to glimpse it. But if it is open, constantly shifting with every decision, then knowing the future becomes an impossibility. For the very act of knowing would change the future itself. Determinism and free will. Are we free to change the future is intimately tied to the age-old debate between determinism and free will. Determinists argue that every event, including human actions, is the inevitable result of prior causes. In this view, the future is already written. Each choice we make is simply the outcome of a chain of events stretching back to the beginning of time. If this is true, then the future is as fixed as the past, and perhaps it is just a matter of time before we develop the tools or insight to access it. In contrast, advocates of free will argue that humans have the power to shape their own destinies. The future is not predetermined. It is created moment by moment through our actions and decisions. If free will exists, then the future is not a fixed destination, but a fluid, ever-changing possibility. And if the future is constantly changing based on our actions, how could we ever truly know it? This debate is not merely theoretical. It touches on the very core of human experience. If our actions are predetermined, then what does that mean for our sense of agency, our ability to choose? And if the future is open, can we ever truly predict it? Or would any attempt to do so inevitably alter the course of events? Science and foresight. Can we predict the future? While philosophers ponder the metaphysics of time and choice, scientists have taken a more pragmatic approach to the question of the future. In certain domains, the future seems predictable, at least in theory. The laws of physics, for example, allow us to predict with remarkable accuracy the motion of planets, the behavior of atoms, and the trajectory of projectiles. Using mathematical models, we can forecast the weather, predict the stock market's trends, and even anticipate some human behaviors. Yet for all its successes, science remains limited in its ability to predict the future. Chaos theory, for instance, demonstrates that even in systems governed by clear laws, small variations in initial conditions can lead to vastly different outcomes. The famous butterfly effect shows that even the slightest change in the present can radically alter the future, making long-term predictions increasingly unreliable. Moreover, when it comes to human behavior, science hits a wall. While we can predict certain patterns, such as how populations will grow or how people tend to react in certain situations, individual actions remain elusive. Each human mind is a complex web of experiences, emotions, and thoughts, and predicting what any one person will do at any given moment remains a near impossibility. Science, then, offers us glimpses of the future, small windows into predictable systems, but it also reveals the inherent unpredictability of complex, chaotic systems. The future, it seems, is not something that can be easily mapped out. Mysticism and intuition. Are there other ways of knowing? While science grapples with the limits of prediction, mystics and intuitives have long claimed that there are other ways to know the future. Throughout history, individuals have reported experiencing precognitive dreams, visions, or feelings that seemingly predict events before they happen. These experiences, often dismissed by the rational mind, point to a different kind of knowing, one that operates outside the bounds of logic and science. Could it be that there are ways of perceiving the future that we do not yet fully understand? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst, explored the idea of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem to reveal underlying connections between events. According to Jung, the psyche operates on levels that transcend time and space, and sometimes through dreams or intuition, we may tap into this deeper reality. While such ideas remain controversial, they speak to the enduring human belief that the future might be accessible, not through reason or science, but through deeper, more mysterious channels. Perhaps the future is not something we predict, but something we sense in fleeting glimpses or sudden insights. The mystery of the future. Can we ever truly know? As we near the end of our exploration, it becomes clear that the future remains an enigma, both tantalizing and elusive. We may never be able to fully know it, not because it is hidden from us, but because it is not yet fully formed. The future is shaped by countless factors, some predictable, others not. It is influenced by our choices, by chance, and by forces beyond our comprehension. Yet perhaps this is as it should be. The mystery of the future is what makes life so rich, so full of possibility. If we knew the future with certainty, would we not lose something essential to the human experience, the ability to hope, to dream, to strive for a better tomorrow? The unpredictability of the future is what gives life its dynamism and meaning. It is what drives us to act, to create, to change. So, can man know the future? Perhaps the answer is both yes and no. We can glimpse it in fleeting moments of prediction or intuition, but it remains ultimately unknowable, a constantly shifting horizon that we approach, but never fully reach. And in that mystery, we find the beauty of life itself, the ever-present possibility that tomorrow may bring something entirely unexpected. The future, after all, is not something to be known, but something to be lived.